Hey, what's going on with you today? How you doing? Hope you're doing good. Hope you're staying blessed out there. Today I want to talk a little bit about this Lil Yachty thing. Okay, if you guys don't know, Lil Yachty, he's been like on a, how should I put it? He's been on like on a, you know how artists when they're like on a run, like, oh, he's on a run, he's on this crazy run where he's dropping a lot of good music, or he's on this run where he's doing a lot of features. Well, Lil Yachty, he's on a different kind of run. Okay, Yachty, he's on a run to share some very horrible hip-hop opinions, okay? Horrible hip-hop opinions. And as someone who would consider themselves a professional at breaking down some of these conversations, I want to have this conversation with you about Lil Yachty's horrible hip-hop opinions, and I want to give my take on it. By the way, guys, before we continue with the conversation, if you feel like you want to support me on here for all the great work we're putting in, if you click on that little button right there, okay, and this little thank you button, right, if you want to show a little bit of gratitude back for all the work we're putting in, that's always going to be very welcomed. Donate. If you want to donate, you can do that. And what I'm going to do is on my next video, I'm going to give a shout out to everybody who, sent something. So if you want to do that, you can do it. The option is there. If you don't want to do it, by the way, I still love you, okay? The fact that you're here means the world to me. So that aside, I want to talk a little bit about this Lil Yachty topic, right? So if you guys don't know what's going on, Lil Yachty, okay, Lil Boat, he's been on a crazy run to just share some very horrible opinions. And I'll be honest with you, man, I don't know why Lil Yachty's doing this. And I have a lot of things to say about this, but of all the people who can share their takes on hip hop as far as artists and rappers, I just feel like Lil Yachty is like the last person who should be saying these things. But let's not get ahead of ourselves and let's talk about it. So Lil Yachty, are you familiar with the name? Well, Lil Yachty blew up a couple years ago, right, with the song One Night.
I know you want this for life.
He's a part of the 2016 wave, right? And he's actually one of the artists from that 2016 wave who is thriving. Like, I want to say that Yachty is definitely thriving. Like, I can't take anything away from the fact that he's doing really well. The fact that I'm still talking about Lil Yachty and the fact that he's relevant in the culture, that goes for something, right? But I just want to get into this conversation. I want to talk about these takes that Lil Yachty has been sharing. And you might know about these takes because Yachty has kind of been going viral, okay? So let's start with this. He did this interview with Rolling Stone about I want to say 2-3 weeks ago, something like that, right? And he was talking a little bit about hip-hop, and he was talking a little bit about the state of hip-hop, the place that hip-hop is in at this current moment. And Yachty said some things which had the internet in a frenzy.
And I said hip-hop is in a terrible place, and it took the internet in a frenzy.
So I want to read these statements for you, and I want to give you my take on it. And I also want to hear what you're going to have to say at the end as well. So let's not waste any time, and let's go over it. So this interview is with Rolling Stone, and this is what Yachty said, right? He said, "The place that hip-hop is in right now is a terrible place. It's a lot of imitation. It's a lot of quick, low-quality music being put out. It's a lot less originality." Hey, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I'll just say, ain't it ironic that this is coming from Lil Yachty of all people, right? Anyway, there's more. So, by the way, I forgot to mention that rapper Tierra Whack, she was actually in this interview. So it was kind of like a conversation where Yachty was speaking to Tierra Whack, and they were having like this back and forth. And then they, there's like a transcript of this interview that Rolling Stone put together. So Tierra Whack, she said, and by the way, Tierra Whack is a great artist. Shout out to her. She's killing it, man. She deserves way more credit. She's like one of the only female rappers where, I'm like, how come she's not up there? But I know why she's not up there, because she's not selling her body. That's, it is what it is, right? And no shot at the women who are doing that. It's just, it's a fact. Like, sex sells. We all know that. So if you're not on that, you're not going to get as much credit. Just like if you're a young black man making hip hop, rapping, if you ain't talking about killing, murder, and destroying your community with drugs and all this craziness, they're not going to push you in the industry. They don't really want you because that doesn't sell. But this is what Tierra Whack said, right? She made a statement. She said, "It's very diverse. You can do whatever you want. You can be whoever you want, just freedom." So that's in relation to hip hop. And then Lil Yachty says, "This sucks. The place that hip hop is in right now is a terrible place. What are you talking about?" So he's kind of pushing back on her statements. And then he said, "The state of hip hop right now, it's a lot of imitation. It's a lot of quick, low quality music being put out. It's trendy. It's a lot less risk taken. It's a lot less originality. Tierra Whack says, this is the viral post. I always call it. Like that's going to be the viral post of this. And she was right. We're talking about it right now. But Lil Yachty continued and said, I'm just saying, people are too safe now. I'd rather take the risk and take the L. Tierra Whack said, I love it. So. What happened after this is Yachty got a lot of backlash. Rightfully so. And I'm going to get to why I say that. But Yachty got a lot of backlash. People have been going off on Yachty for it feels like forever, okay? And I even had a tweet from 2 days ago. And, I said, is someone going to tell Lil Yachty that he contributed to a lot of the whack shit in hip-hop? Is someone going to tell him that he contributed to a lot of the whack shit in hip-hop? Well, if nobody else will tell you that, Yachty, I will tell you that. You're one of the people who's responsible for everything that you're talking about. 100%. Now, before we get there, let's actually talk about Yachty's project. Let's start here. Earlier this year, Lil Yachty did something crazy. And that crazy thing is he dropped a project that I never thought a guy like Lil Yachty could drop. Experimental, very different, super creative. And I do want to give him credit for that. Salute to you, Yachty. Salute to you for taking a risk. Okay? So you get a cool point for that. You get a cool point for the fact that you stepped outside of your comfort zone, especially as someone who is from that 2016 wave, right? When I say that, what I'm talking about is the fact that Yachty has a certain image in hip hop, okay? He has a certain image in music, and people have boxed him in as one thing. Now, with this project right here, he decided to do something completely different. And I thought the result was great, okay? Now, I'm not a Lil Yachty fan. I don't listen to that project at all. I've listened to it because it's music being put out by a popular artist and I need to hear it. So I've listened to it and I appreciate it. I appreciate the project because it's creative. It's very just different. Very, very different, right? We're really well put together. But I'm not a Lil Yachty fan, so I can't say that I listened to the project. That'd be a lie. But I do appreciate what he did with that project, okay? And so the point of that project, the reason why that's relevant is because Yachty has been getting, all year, he's been getting so much praise for that project, so much. People have been calling it album of the year, which I think is insane. And the reason why people think it's album of the year is because a guy like Yachty dropped it. Guys, Lil Yachty is someone who literally came up off of I Know You Like This for Life. Yachty has been dropping the most average music for a long time. Until this project and until one of his other projects, I forgot what it's called. It might be the one with a lot of the Detroit influence, right? I think that was a dope body of work as well, but I forgot what the project is called. But anyway, that's beside the point. So Yachty, for the majority of his career, has been dropping extremely average music, okay? And so the one time where he drops something that's completely different and he gets praised, that leads him to a place where he feels like the place that hip hop is in right now is a terrible place. It's a lot of imitation. It's a lot of quick, low quality music being put out. It's a lot less originality. Well, that sums up Lil Yachty's entire 90% of his career. That's what Lil Yachty has been known for a very long time. So the reason why these comments, and we're going to get to everything that we're going to talk about, the reason why these comments are so off-putting is because he's talking about himself. But it seems like he's not self-aware enough to know that he's talking about himself. You get what I'm saying? So I want you to check out this podcast clip right here. And I have a couple things to say about it. But what happened after this, essentially, the backlash, boom. Lil Yachty decided to respond to the backlash in a podcast episode. And this is what he said. So just check out the clip, and I have a couple things I want to go through.
Not that bad, but when it happened, I really didn't want to address it, and I just was like, whatever. I'll address it when our podcast comes. Between me saying and what it is I said hip hop is in a terrible place, and this comment came from a interview that I did with Tierra Whack for Rolling Stones, and I said hip hop is in a terrible place, and it took the internet in a frenzy. Right, and this is the crazy thing. Numbers. All right, first off, hip hop was the number one leading genre for 10 plus years. I don't know exact year, but 10 plus years. Number one on every other genre. Up until recently, about a year ago, or two, a year or two ago, and it fell in the rankings of being number one.
What's number one now?
I believe it's Latin music. It's either Latin music or no, I think it's Latin music or country. It's between country music and Latin music. I can't remember.
Saying number one, saying like that's the genre that generates the most money.
Revenue streams. Yeah, it was number one. Like in Billboard, it was the number one genre. Even record labels have pulled back on funding from hip hop, as far as like what contracts are looking like and what budgets are being put into rapper artists, hip hop artists. It's just all been scaled back on funding. It's facts. You know what I'm saying? Like the facts is that people aren't supporting hip hop like they once did. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a decline in the content. And people say, oh, here's the guy that said that. He was like the guy that made Poland, because how can you say that you made Poland? But it's like, bro, you've never heard a rap song like Poland, bro. Like there's no song that sounds like Poland. Ever. When Poland first came out, it was like, what the is this?
So, I want to address a couple things that Yachty said in that clip, okay? So, the first one being, what genre is really the biggest right now? So, Yachty, he said that it's Latin music or country music, and I just want to correct him. By the way, this is not like a holier than thou thing where, I'm going to correct you because I'm the one who reports on this. No. I want this to be insightful. I want this to be educational, and I just want to make sure that we say the things that are actually factual. Okay? So, right now, what you have in front of you right now are some recent stats, okay? As you can see right there, July 22nd, July 2002, and June 2003, okay? At the top right now, we have rock/alternative/indie music, okay? That's the number one genre right now. I told y'all hip-hop has been losing monopoly. What did I tell you? I said this months ago, right? But anyway, and then number two, we have country music, okay? And number three, we have pop/adult contemporary music, urban music. That sounds very, very familiar. I hear a lot of people talk about urban. We all know what urban means, right? For anyone who didn't know, it's black. Or a lot of times it's also minorities, right? That's another conversation. You know what I'm talking about. It's another conversation, right? But anyway, so and then, hip hop/R&B, etc. So hip hop is, let's see. So actually it's number 4. I'm sorry. I got that wrong. So it's not 1, 2, 3, 4. So hip hop is at number 4, right? Now, I don't know exactly these stats. The thing about stats like this is a lot of times they mislabel certain things as hip hop and they mislabel certain things as R&B. Like I forgot what organization it was, but they said that Ice Spice was like R&B. I remember seeing this like months ago, and I'm like, are y'all crazy? Anything that's mildly black is R&B or hip hop? Come on. I mean, Ice Spice is hip hop, but she's not R&B. Come on, okay? That's very disrespectful to the actual R&B artists out here putting in work, okay, and representing that side of the music in a correct fashion. That aside, right? So just want to correct the idea on that. Hip hop, or I want to say Latin music is not second, right? Latin music it's actually not even on this list, which is kind of crazy. So it's actually not on this list at all. Like Latin music is really big, but maybe the consumption is different at this very time, at this point in time. But by the way, this is America's favorite music genres, right? So this is strictly in America we're talking about. And another point I want to address, that Yachty hit on is the part regarding labels pulling back on funding. So I want to check out this, it's like an excerpt from like a digital product that I'm working on. And I draw some correlations between things that are going on right now, and I give my insight on essentially the culture, things that artists should think about, and so forth, right? So I want you to read this with me right here, okay? Because Yachty did say something that I want to hit on, and he was talking about how record labels have pulled back on funding because hip-hop acts are Anyway, so, let's just read this together, right? This is what the excerpt says. Record labels have pulled back on funding because hip-hop acts are not selling like they used to. You can't monetize hip-hop like you could just a year ago. Other genres are gaining monopoly. Hip-hop has lost monopoly. Record labels are in it to make money. If you're not selling, you will be on the back burner. Hip-hop is not a priority like it used to be, and the decline in consumption of rap/hip-hop is alarming. There's been a 2% drop in overall consumption since last year. And by the way, it's not even a full calendar year. It's, I believe, between like 8 months and 10 months, okay? And 2% drop is a lot. So like, let's say as an example, if hip-hop, and this is not true, by the way, I'm just using it as an example just so I can show you the math, right? Let's say hip-hop got 1 billion streams, okay? Hip-hop got 1 billion streams overall as a genre, pretending. A 2% drop would mean that there's, in terms of consumption, percentage-wise, 20 million, so this would be 20 million streams, okay? That's a lot, okay? Not 20 million people, that would be inaccurate, but 20 million in terms of overall consumption. And that's pretty freaking major. That's a lot, okay? Not even a full calendar year. But I want to also hit on another point that Yachty hit on, which is, where he said that people aren't supporting hip-hop like they once used to because there's a decline in content. And that's incorrect, completely incorrect. So let's check out another excerpt written by yours truly. And this is what this one says, okay? So this one says, it's not the decline in content, it's the decline in quality content. Hip-hop acts are dropping low-quality content at a very rapid pace, and that's having an effect on the direct-to-consumer/business-to-consumer relationship. And this is what the fans are thinking, right? So the fans are thinking like this. Why should I spend my hard-earned money on someone who's not even giving off the impression that they care about the work they're putting out? Perception is everything. Market the music like the best thing since sliced bread, and they will call it the best thing since sliced bread. The average rapper doesn't have the mental bandwidth to think this far. Why? Because the average rapper doesn't care about what he's putting out. Okay? So the answer to what Yachty was touching on isn't the content, it's the quality. The quality of the content, okay? And this explains why people aren't as hooked on hip-hop as they once used to be. A lot of people are having a very hard time standing behind hip-hop because the quality is lacking severely, right? People want to be proud of what they support. People want to say that this artist and that artist and that artist, even if the music may not sound like it's good, if they care, if they can convince and communicate to the listener that, hey, I really care about what I'm putting out. And you can do that by crafting a very, as far as like, let's say you're someone you're very in tune with, if you're an artist, you're very in tune with your branding, okay, your visual branding. You put a lot into that. You can show it through visual branding. You can show it through storytelling. You can show it through being personal. You can show it in so many different ways, right? But the listener wants to feel like they are on a mission with you, right? The reason why the average rapper is failing, and the reason why so many rappers are failing right now, is because they're not communicating to the listener that they really care about what they're doing. And so that leaves a very bad taste in the listener's mouth. And that's why, one of the reasons why hip-hop doesn't have the kind of support that it used to have, right? That's why so many people are moving on to these other genres, because they feel like country and rock care more about what they're doing. And you know what? I don't listen to none of those genres, but I'm going to have to agree. We've lost the art of caring about what we're putting out in hip-hop, and that's so sad. So sad. So sad. But I want to talk about some of the things that I don't like about Yachty's statements about hip-hop. First of all, and this is the most important one, right message, wrong messenger. So let's talk about that. Is Lil Yachty really the right person to say these things? I would say no, because of how Yachty started off, right? We also got to talk about the fact that his statements exude a superiority, complex. Like Yachty feels like because I dropped this project that's getting a lot of praise, that's creative and experimental and different, I have the right to say these things when you don't. Because the truth is, Lil Yachty, you're not different from any of these guys. Like, I'm sure Lil Yachty had certain artists in his mind when he made these statements. I'm very certain of that. He's not going to tell you that because he ain't trying to alienate potential business partners. So, like, as an example, I'm not saying this is what he was saying. As an example, let's say Yachty made these statements and he was thinking about Yeat. Okay? He's not going to say that because I'm sure he wants to collab with Lil Yeat. Lil Yeat? I'm sorry. Lil Yachty, Lil Yeat. I'm sure he wants to collaborate with Yeat, right? And the reason why I brought up Yeat is because he's a part of the new wave. And when a lot of people make these statements about hip-hop dying and hip-hop is this, they're talking about that side of the underground. And by the way, I used to hate Yeat because I've listened to some of his shit, I want to say, not just a couple of his records. I listened to like one or two projects, and he ain't that bad at all. Destroy Lonely, on the other hand, I don't like Destroy Lonely, okay? Yeat is the only person who I feel like is like, I can listen to this. Anyone else in that side of the underground? Hell no, I'm not listening to that. Do not turn that on around me, at least. Yachty, obviously, I'm sure he was thinking about certain artists when he said this. But the issue with his statements, again, it's just that Yachty took a risk, okay? And he got praised for taking that risk. Now, what Yachty doesn't realize is that, and we all know this, but he doesn't know it clearly, no self-awareness. You are, first of all, not different from any of these guys. Second of all, you took a risk, you got praised for it, but what more have you done? It goes back to my tweet. Lil Yachty has inspired a lot of whack shit in hip-hop. Let's just keep it a garbanzo bean, 1,000%. If you don't think that Lil Yachty, the guy who blew up with I Know You Want This for Life, inspired mediocrity in hip-hop, you're insane. And that's why Lil Yachty should not be having these opinions. If he has these opinions, that's fine, but sharing them in the way that you shared, I don't think is the way. It ain't the way at all. So I also think Drake plays a part here, because if you guys don't know, Lil Yachty and Drake are buddies. Good buddies now, right? And this is what I like to call the Drake effect, okay? I think Drake's support makes Yachty feel like he's invincible, on top of the praise he's been getting for being different and being, doing something completely different in terms of the project that he dropped, right? Which, again, I gave him credit for that, but let's not sit here and act like 90% of your career was you dropping a bunch of average music. Let's just keep it real. Lil Yachty has never been a good rapper. I still don't think Lil Yachty is a good rapper. That's just my opinion. Just my opinion. If you think he's a good rapper, you listen to him. Let me not stop you, okay? But the fact that Yachty is saying this when for the majority of his career, he was doing exactly what he's talking about in these statements. Yachty said, in his own words, the place hip-hop is in right now is a terrible place. It's a lot of imitation. It's a lot of quick, low-quality music being put out. That's what you did for the majority of your career. And now you're having these opinions talking about hip-hop is this, hip-hop is that. If you don't embody the essence of hip-hop, how can you have these kinds of statements out there? How could you make these kinds of statements? You don't even embody what hip-hop is really about. You don't embody what hip-hop is about, man. On top of that, you inspired a lot of whack shit in the culture. Let's keep it real. Let's just be honest, man. Are we really going to pretend like Lil Yachty is the right person to say these things? If Cordae, JID, Denzel Curry came out and said something like this, I'd be like, oh, okay. Let me be quiet. Let me not say anything, because these guys know what this is hip-hop. I can't argue with them. They're not going to say anything, by the way. Ain't it funny how the guys who actually have the right to say things like this are not saying anything? They're just putting their head down and just working. And then a guy like Yachty is like talking about, hip-hop is this, like hip-hop is that, la. Brother, I know you're on a high horse right now. I know that everybody on Twitter, and by the way, Twitter is crazy because they have been praising Lil Yachty like he's the second coming of Christ after this project. And I'm like, give him credit for that project, but let's take it easy a little, guys. Easy. Tranquilo, okay? He dropped one decent project, okay? And the reason why he's getting so much praise is because of the contrast, because it's coming from a guy like Lil Yachty, an artist who was a good rapper, dropped this, Lil Yachty project, since it's coming from a different place, the contrast would not be that noticeable. But now it's noticeable because it's Lil Yachty. So that's why he's getting all this praise. And I think this position that Yachty is in right now, because he's kind of like the young, cool guy. A lot of the young guys coming up there looking at Yachty like, oh, shit, Yachty, damn, Yachty, Lil Bo, he's still popping, all that. Oh, Drake calls him brother. Drake is posted up with Yachty. Oh, damn, Yachty's that guy. He dropped this project. He's been in the game for this long. He's getting a lot of praise from the young generation of listeners and the young generation of artists. And he dropped this project, which now makes him appear as something different, when really you're the same as the rest of them, brother. Yachty, I'm talking to you if you're listening to this, which I'm sure you are. You're not different. You're the same as these other guys that you're talking about. Because I'm sure Yachty had a couple names in his mind, but he's not going to say it. Of course he's not going to say it. He's still a part of the young generation. So to me, it's just funny how these statements are coming from someone like him. No self-awareness here. Clear lack of self-awareness. You should not be making these statements, Yachty. And these opinions are horrible. They're horrible. They do not make Yachty look, they do not put him in a better light at all. You know, it'd be one thing if he just dropped this project that he dropped, right? Let's start here or there. I always confuse these two. Is it let's start here or let's start there? Let's start here. Always confuse it. But it'd be one thing if Yachty did that and then, you know, he just kept his head down and just kept it pushing. But now he's making all these statements, and that tells me that he feels like he's superior. You're not better than nobody, brother. You're not. Like I said in my tweet, and I stand behind it, Lil Yachty has inspired a lot of whack shit in hip-hop. It's actually guys like him that quote-unquote ruined hip-hop. I don't think hip-hop is ruined. I do think the essence of hip-hop is dying, though. But if anything, it's guys like Yachty who've actually done a lot of damage to the culture from that perspective. So I just think these statements are very ironic, and you're not the guy for that, brother. I'm telling you, man, you're not the guy. So I hope Yachty can think twice about making statements like this, okay? And I'm all for people speaking their mind. That's what I do on my channel. But first of all, this is what I do, by the way. It's my job, right? But when it's coming from a place where clearly you're trying to put yourself, Yachty's trying to create a separation between himself and all the other rappers he either came up with or a lot of the guys who are coming up right now. Like, no, that's not how this works. If you're someone who contributed to mediocre rap, the mediocrity in hip hop, you do not have a place to speak on what's mediocre or not. And plus, like I said, Lil Yachty does not embody the essence of hip hop. He's the opposite of that, 1,000%. So these statements, I believe they're ridiculous. And I do think Lil Yachty should get flamed for this. He should get flamed for this, 1,000%. But we're obviously not against anyone speaking their mind, okay? I've gotten flamed. How many times I've gotten flamed for my opinions? Happens all the time. It is what it is, right? But anyway, so that's what I think about these hip-hop opinions that Yachty has been sharing. I'm curious what you have to say about this, though. What you guys think about what Yachty said? Do you think he's speaking facts? Do you think that he's the right messenger? You tell me. I'm curious. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you for watching. And again, guys, if you want to support the channel, the little thanks button is right there. And what I'm going to do is at the end of the next video I drop, or the next one after that, I'll give a shout out to everybody who, you know, send in like a little donation. So appreciate you guys for watching, okay? Hope you enjoyed this conversation. And of course, like the video as well, guys. I appreciate you for supporting, and I hope you stay blessed, okay? Take care of yourself, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.